Hello everyone, I am Ladiedra Smalley and today I will be introducing to you Mr. Jonathan Scott. This interview took place on June 22nd, 2023 at 4 o'clock p.m. in Kane Central Lobby, which is located on Georgia Southwestern's campus. Before I get started, I wanted to make a note of the kinds of questions that I asked Jonathan because for me, interviewing someone in a higher education position can be a little intimidating. You want to feel prepared and look intelligent, right? You also don't want to feel as though you're taking up too much of their time. So the questions that I asked are, what is your official title? Can you tell me a little bit about your educational background? What has your career path been like that has led you up to your current position? What are some things that you love about your job? Are there any challenges? What is the mission of your department? In your opinion, what are three major issues facing higher education today? I felt that this was a solid foundation to get a little bit of information about everything. I tried to craft his responses in a way that tells a story about Jonathan, rather than saying, well, I asked this and he said that. So with that approach, I hope that you are able to get to know more about Jonathan, as though you met him yourself, and you will see why I found him a worthy candidate to interview. So, who is Jonathan? Jonathan is who I and other colleagues call the Supreme Chancellor of Sarcasm. I have never seen someone navigate the way that he does with sarcasm, and sometimes he would even sit there chuckling to himself until you realize that he had indeed made a sarcastic remark. But it's all in good fun and always with perfect timing. His favorite catchphrases include shocker and get it done, as he is always a man on a mission. Aside from being the Supreme Chancellor, Jonathan is also known as Papa John or Papa Scott, as he is a proud father and husband. His wife Megan and their son Jackson are introduced in the picture to your left, which is from a recent Disney trip that they took. Yes, Papa Scott is also a Disney fan. Shocker, right? In addition, Jonathan is also an alumnus of Chi Phi fraternity, and his favorite sports team are the Georgia Bulldogs, although he will forever bleed gold and blue, a hurricane through and through. Beginning with his educational and career journey, Jonathan attended Georgia Southwestern State University and received his BBA in management. He fondly expressed the memories of his undergraduate endeavors at GSW, and he enjoyed being a student leader on campus as he participated on the GSW orientation team, Student Government Association, along with being a member of Chi Phi fraternity. From there, he ventured on to receive his master's degree in business administration from GSW as well. What many people do not know is that before Jonathan began his career in higher education, he worked a few jobs in different fields that didn't place him on a college campus at all. For example, he had been a middle school teacher, an assistant for a local news station, a local home and goods merchant, and a plethora of other part-time hustles, as he would like to call them. Although a short-lived experience, all these positions allowed him to stay busy, productive, and independent from having to go back home and live with his parents. He was able to make ends meet by renting out a small but cozy apartment with a few of his fraternity brothers. During this time, he lived close to the campus, which allowed him to connect back with some influential members of the GSW community. From there, he and one of his roommates were encouraged to apply for some of the admissions counselor positions that had just become vacant due to their former candidates transitioning to other career opportunities or retiring. After a tedious interview process, Jonathan was excited to begin his career as an admissions counselor. After student enrollment began to improve, it was at this time that his supervisor will be promoted to the vice president of enrollment, which left the assistant director of admissions and recruitment position open. Jonathan was selected to take on the mantle of that title. Jonathan has since been promoted to the Director of Recruitment and Admissions, and in the newly renovated Kane Central building, Jonathan supervises the admissions counselors, admissions specialists, student workers, student tour guides that we call Zephyrs, the student call center, and events like Preview Day and Accepted Student Day. You see why he gets to be the Supreme Chancellor of Sarcasm, right? That is a big job. I would also like to take the time to note that Kane Central houses the offices of admissions, first year experience, student accounts, and financial aid. I went on to ask Jonathan what he loves about his job and if there were any challenges. I also asked where he hoped that he would be in his career 5 years from now. Jonathan stated, I love the people that I work with and meeting potential new GSW families. I enjoy learning from others as we continue to grow the Hurricane family. As far as the challenges, managing recruitment and admissions can be tough, especially when the budget for the university is determined on enrollment, so every aspect is crucial, and that can bring out some stressors. Other than that, I love what I do. As for the 5-year question, he hoped that he would still be employed with GSW and doing the job that he loves to do. In the next slide, I would like to make a note of the mission statement of GSW. GSW is a regional, public, comprehensive university that remains steadfast in our goal of student success. We are accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and School Commission on Colleges, which ensures that we have high-quality academic programs in place. Our academic planning process has further ensured that our academic programs are desired by students and contribute to the regional workforce. And also a side note, the Division of Student Engagement and Services are collaborating to examine how we can support the university in achieving its goal through the initiative of this plan. I asked Jonathan to expand a little more on what he views as big achievements, as well as the most difficult transitions for GSW from his perspective. He went on to explain that regarding admissions and enrollment, GSW has seen one to two of the biggest freshman cohorts, and this is partially due to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, which drove the Board of Regents and the University System of Georgia to waive admissions requirements such as the SAT or ACT. This change enticed students to apply in great numbers. He also noted the university's approach to return to normal sparked an important conversation to assess what we as an institution were doing to really help our students to get from move-in day to graduation day. This created the push for GSW to focus on lessening any barriers within the admissions and enrollment process and increase efforts in student scholarships by creating criteria that was both competitive and accessible to students of various backgrounds. When explaining the challenges, he also noted that on the flip side of the COVID-19 pandemic, admissions and enrollment numbers were affected on many college campuses in the sense that many new and continuing students were reluctant to come back to campus. This made both the enrollment and retention data the hot topic of many committee and board meetings as different departments collaborated to create strategies that would boost retention and foster student success. This time also urged us to reflect on the mental health and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. This reflection gave birth to several health and wellness programs that serve to be a useful resource to our campus community when we need it. These can be great key points to hit on for recruitment and admissions. Tying that in with this slide, I asked Jonathan what he thought were three major issues facing higher education today, and he stated that he believes that college affordability and funding, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and mental health on and off campus are the main focal points in higher education, and it gets everyone's attention, whether there is a right or wrong decision made towards those issues. Moving on to reflections, aside from the fact that the force of sarcasm is strong with his family, Jonathan really is a great person, and he cares a lot about his employees, family, and career. Once you get used to his sense of humor and ways of getting the job done, you will begin to understand why his Clifton strengths include achiever, arranger, ideation, command, and connectedness, just to name a few. Regarding years of dedication to GSW, Jonathan has given over 15 plus years of service to GSW, and I hope that he enjoys many more to come. My overall assessment of this interview was positive and left me feeling confident that GSW chose the right person to lead the way to welcome future Hurricanes into the fold. Thank you for watching.